You probably grew up believing that becoming rich was mostly about making more money, a higher salary, a better job, a lucky investment, maybe starting a business that finally takes off. You're assuming wealth began the moment another zero appeared in your bank account. But that's almost never how it happens. Because before someone's financial life changes, their thinking changes. The strange part is that you usually can't see it from outside. It doesn't look like success. It looks like someone passing on things they could easily afford. It looks like leaving work on time. It looks like driving the same car for another 3 years. It looks like saying no without expending yourself. The people who quietly build wealth rarely look rich in the beginning. Their bank account changes months after their mind already has. And the final mental shift starts much earlier than most people realize. Mental change number 1. You stop trying to look rich and start trying to become rich. It happens on a Friday afternoon. Your coworker pulls into the parking lot with a brand new SUV, leather seats, panoramic roof. The smell of a brand new car follows him into the office. Everyone gathers around. Someone whistles. Someone asks what the monthly payment is. He smiles. Only $782 a month, he says. Nobody reacts because somehow $782 every month has become normal. You spend the rest of the day thinking about it. Not because you want this SUV, because for a second, you wonder if you're falling behind. Your car has 143,000 miles on it. The paint is faded. The Bluetooth disconnects every few days, but it starts every morning. It gets you to work. It gets you home. You could upgrade. The payment would fit your budget, at least technically. But then another thought appears. If you invest $782 every month instead, at a historical rate of return around 10% for 30 years, the same payout becomes over $1.5 million. Suddenly, you aren't looking at the SUV anymore. You're looking at the price of financial freedom. That's when something shifts. Rich people don't ask, what can I buy? They ask, what does this cost me later? According to Experian, the average new car payment in America is now over $740 per month, while many luxury vehicles push well beyond $1,000. Most people celebrate getting approved. Very few celebrate never needing the loan. That's because one mindset buys appearances. The other buys options. And options are always worth more. Not immediately, but eventually. That quiet decision. Keeping your old car another year. Nobody notices. But your investments do. Your future does. And those invisible decisions begin stacking on top of each other long before anyone notices you're becoming wealthy. Because wealth is rarely built in public. It's built privately. One invisible decision at a time. Mental change number 2. You stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, what does this cost my future? A Saturday afternoon. You're walking through Costco. You weren't planning on buying anything expensive. Then you see it. An 85-inch television. It's on sale. Only $1,199. You stop walking. The picture looks incredible. You imagine movie nights, football season, friends coming over. You even check your bank app. You have enough. Years ago, that would have ended the conversation. You have the money. You buy the TV. Simple. But now, there's another question. Not, can you afford it? But what happens if you don't buy it? You pull out your phone. You open a compound interest calculator. If that same $1,200 stayed invested for 30 years, growing an average annual return of 10%, it could become over $20,000. The TV isn't really costing you $1,200. It's potentially costing you $20,000. Now, does that mean never buy anything? Of course not. It means you finally understand opportunity cost. Every dollar can only do one job. Spend it. Or build more dollars. Never both. The wealthiest people in the world understand this instinctively. Money isn't just money. It's potential, it's future freedom, it's future choices, it's future mornings where you don't have to ask permission to take the day off. The average American saves less than 5% of their income. Not because they're irresponsible, because most spending decisions happen without thinking about the future version of themselves. The future always feels far away, until one day, it isn't. You leave Costco without the television. Not because you can't afford it, because you wanted something bigger than a bigger screen. Driving home, nothing feels dramatic. Nobody applauds. Nobody knows. Your living room looks exactly the same. But something inside your head is different. You're no longer making purchases based on today's version of you. You're negotiating with the person you'll become 10 years from now. And strangely, that future version keeps winning. Not because you're disciplined, because your priorities finally changed. The richest people often don't have stronger willpower. They simply think further ahead than everyone else. And once you begin thinking that way, the next mental shift starts changing something even more valuable than your money. It starts changing how you value your time. Mental change number 3. Stop chasing more money and start buying more time. The email shows up on a Thursday afternoon. Another company wants to interview you. The position pays $14,000 more per year. Bigger title, better office, better benefits. For a few minutes, it feels obvious. More money is always better, isn't it? Then you scroll a little further. The office is 42 miles away. You check the route. An hour and 20 minutes each way. On a good day. Nearly 3 hours of commuting. 5 days a week. Almost 15 hours every week. Over the course of a year, that's roughly 750 hours sitting in traffic. More than 31 full days of your life gone every year. You close that map. You stop thinking about the salary. You start thinking about your life. 3 years ago, you would have taken the job without hesitation. Back then, every raise felt like progress. Every bigger paycheck felt like proof that you were winning. But something has changed. You start realizing that money can be earned again. Time can't. The average American spends nearly 1 hour every day commuting, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. That doesn't sound terrible until you multiply it. 1 hour a day becomes more than 250 hours every year. Now imagine getting those hours back. What would you do with them? Go to the gym? Start that business? Read 20 books? Sleep an entire hour? Have dinner with your family maybe? Most people believe wealth is measured by income. Eventually, you realize it's measured by control. Control over your mornings, control over your afternoons, control over who decides how your day unfolds. That's why wealthy people often spend money in ways that seem irrational. Your friend laughs because you pay someone $120 to clean your apartment twice a month. You could do it yourself, they say. He's right. You could, but those 4 hours that you get back, you spend them filming videos, learning a new skill, taking a walk without checking your phone, calling your parents, living. Suddenly, the cleaning wasn't an expense. It was an investment. The strange thing about becoming wealthier isn't that you start buying more things. It's that you start buying back pieces of your life. Because one day you realize money is replaceable. Saturday afternoon isn't. And once you stop measuring success by dollars alone, you start thinking in a completely different direction. Not about this month, not even this year. You start thinking decades ahead. Mental change number 4. You stop thinking in months and start thinking in decades. It's the first day of the month. Your automatic investment goes through $500, exactly like it did last month and the month before that. Nothing exciting happens. Your phone buzzes. You glance at the notification. You lock your screen. You don't even open the app. There isn't much to see. The account isn't life-changing, at least not yet. That's the hardest part about investing. For a long time, it feels like nothing is happening. You contribute, you wait, you contribute again, you wait some more. It's almost boring, which is exactly why most people quit. Humans are wired to chase immediate rewards, not invisible ones. Researchers have found that people naturally place more value on rewards they can receive today than rewards they'll receive years from now. It's called present bias. It's one of the biggest reasons people struggle to build wealth, because the reward for spending is immediate. The reward for investing is delayed. You don't feel richer after investing $500. You actually feel poorer. Your checking account gets smaller. Your life looks exactly the same. Nothing changes. Except everything is changing. Quietly. Behind the scenes. If you invest $500 every month for 30 years, assuming a historical return of 10% annually, you'll contribute about $180,000 of your own money. But your account could grow to well over $1 million. Think about that. More than $800,000 of the final balance wasn't money you earned. It was time. Time did the heavy lifting. Time became your business partner. And that's when your mindset changes forever. You stop asking, how much did I make this month? You start asking, did I keep my system running? Because systems beat motivation every single time. You notice this everywhere. The friend who starts going to the gym every January, quits by March. The entrepreneur who posts every day for 2 weeks, then disappears. The investor who panics every time the market drops, then wonder why their portfolio never grows. Consistency is boring, which is exactly why it's valuable. When the market falls 15%, you don't stop investing, you continue. When headlines scream that the economy is collapsing, you continue. When everyone around you starts chasing the newest investment trend, you continue. Because your identity has changed. You're no longer trying to get rich this year. You're building a life that will naturally become wealthy over the next 20. That's a completely different game. The average millionaire doesn't become a millionaire overnight. Many spend decades making quiet, repetitive decisions that nobody notices. The outside world sees the result. It almost never sees the process. And maybe that's why wealth looks so mysterious. People assume there was one lucky break, one big investment, one perfect opportunity. Most of the time, there wasn't. There were thousands of ordinary decisions, thousands of automatic transfers, thousands of moments where someone chose consistency over excitement. You begin realizing that the biggest financial advantage isn't intelligence. It isn't timing. It's not luck. It's patience. Because patience allows compound interest to do something no human ever could. Turn small decisions into extraordinary outcomes. But there is still one mental habit that quietly destroys more wealth than almost everything else. And most people don't even realize they're doing it. They compare their lives to everyone else's. Mental chain number 5. You stop comparing your life to everyone else. It starts with something that wasn't supposed to matter. You're lying in bed on a Tuesday night. You open Instagram for 5 minutes, or at least that's the plan. The first video is someone your age picking up the keys to a new house. The next one is a couple vacationing in Greece. Then somebody celebrating buying their dream car. Another creator posts a Rolex. Another posts first class. Another post says, I just closed my biggest month ever. By the time you lock your phone, nothing in your life has actually changed, but somehow you feel behind. That's a strange thing about comparison. It creates problems that didn't exist 5 minutes ago. Before you opened your phone, your apartment was enough. Your car was enough. Your paycheck was enough. Now, everything feels smaller. Researchers have found that the average person spends well over 2 hours every day on social media. That's more than 700 hours every year watching carefully edited highlights of other people's lives. You're comparing your ordinary Tuesday to someone's best day of the whole year. It's not a fair comparison, but your brain doesn't know that. It just knows someone's appearing to be winning. But if they're winning, you must be losing, right? That's how people quietly spiral themselves into financial stress. Not because they wanted something, because they wanted to feel like they belonged. You noticed this at dinner one Friday night. The restaurant wasn't your idea. Somebody else picked it. The steaks are $78. The drinks are $19. By the time dessert comes, everyone has already agreed to split the bill evenly. Your total comes out to be $146. You can afford it, but halfway through the dinner, you realize something. Nobody's actually happier than they were eating burgers together 6 months ago. The conversation is the same. The jokes are the same. The people are the same, only the receipt has changed. That's when another quiet shift happens. You stop buying experiences because they look expensive. You start buying experiences because they actually mean something. Sometimes that's dinner with friends. Sometimes it's cooking at home. Sometimes it's taking your parents out instead of impressing strangers. The money doesn't always change. The reason does. Comparison loses its grip the moment you stop measuring your life against someone else's timeline. Because wealth isn't a race. It's a direction. The problem with races are there's always someone faster. The problem with comparison is there's always someone richer, someone younger, someone prettier, someone skinnier, someone stronger, someone luckier, someone further ahead. If your happiness depends on catching them, you'll never arrive. You remember something Warren Buffett said once. The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient, he said. The same can be said about life. The people consistently trying to keep up usually spend everything they earn. The people quietly building their own future don't have time to compete. They're too busy compounding. Not just money, their skills, their relationships, their peace, and eventually they stop needing other people's approval altogether. Because the richest feeling in the world isn't buying something impressive. It's realizing you no longer need to. Mental change number 6. You stop thinking about money as something to spend and start seeing it as employees that work for you. The first time someone explains this idea to you, it's ridiculous. They tell you every dollar you own should have a job. You smile politely, but you don't really understand it. Years later, you finally do. It happens on an ordinary Sunday morning. You make a coffee, open your investment account, and look at a number you've seen dozens of times before. The balance isn't shocking anymore, but something catches your attention. The account grew nearly $900 over the past month. You didn't work overtime. You didn't pick up extra shifts. You didn't sell anything. You were asleep for about 240 hours that month. Yet somehow your money kept working. That's when the idea finally clicks. Every invested dollar is like hiring another employee. One employee doesn't accomplish much. Neither do 10. But eventually, you have thousands of tiny workers every single day. They're earning more workers, not because you're brilliant, because you gave them enough time. Most people only have one employee, themselves. If they stop working, the income stops. If they get sick, the income slows. If they take a vacation, the paycheck pauses. That's an exhausting way to live. The goal isn't to stop working. The goal is to stop being the only thing producing income. Imagine owning one employee that earns you $1 every day. Not impressive. Now imagine owning 100,000 employees doing the exact same thing. The principle is identical. That's why investors become obsessed with assets instead of liabilities. Assets continue paying you. Liabilities continue asking you to pay them. One quietly builds freedom. The other quietly delays it. This is also why wealthy people talk about net worth more than salary. Salary tells you how much came in. Net worth tells you how much stayed. According to the Federal Reserve, the median net worth of American families is roughly $192,000. But that number varies dramatically depending on age, debt, and investments. What matters isn't where you start. It's whether the number keeps moving. You began checking your net worth every few months. Not every day. Not every week. Just enough to make sure you're heading in the right direction. Some months, it grows by 700. Some months, it grows by 3,000. Some months, the market falls and the number gets smaller. You don't panic anymore because you stop confusing movement with direction. Direction is what matters. Direction tells the truth. One bad month doesn't erase 10 good years. One market drop doesn't erase decades of investing. One financial mistake doesn't erase a lifetime of good decisions. And that's when you realize something almost nobody tells you. Rich people don't think differently because they have money. They have money because they learned to think differently first. You close your laptop, the coffee has gone cold. Outside, nothing looks different. Cars still drive past your window. People still rush to work. Life keeps moving exactly as it did yesterday. But something inside you has changed. Not because you learned a secret. There isn't one. You simply stopped seeing money the way you used to. You stopped trying to look rich. You started asking what your future was worth. You began protecting your time like it was your most valuable asset. You started thinking in decades instead of weeks. You stopped measuring your life against everyone else's. And finally, you turned your money into something that could work even when you couldn't. None of these changes happened overnight. They're quiet, almost invisible. Nobody congratulates you for keeping your old car. Nobody applauds you when you skip an unnecessary purchase. Nobody notices the automatic investment that happens on the first of the month. That's okay. They aren't supposed to. Because the life you're building isn't meant to impress everyone today. It's meant to give you freedom tomorrow. This week, you'll make dozens of financial decisions. Most of them won't feel important. A subscription you'll almost cancel. A purchase you'll almost make. A few extra dollars you'll almost invest. Pay attention to those moments. Because wealth is rarely decided by one life-changing event. It's decided by hundreds of ordinary moments that nobody else ever sees. And one day, someone will look at your life and call you lucky. They'll assume you had better opportunities, better timing, better connections. They won't see the years you spent changing the way you thought. Because that's the part nobody ever notices. The money is only the result. The mindset came first. And you can buy what you want as long as you invest first. It's about balance. And too much of anything isn't a good thing.